what's the best Mustang chassis for a beginner to build off of? I'd say it depends on what you're going to do with it and which cars you like. If I was going to just start with something and build a nice street car that I could take to the track, I think I'd be looking at a 5 to 10 Mustang. The S197 series has the best base suspension to work with. Plus, those cars are pretty reasonable these days. I know a lot of people are picking them up, and if you can get them pretty reasonable, then you got more money to spend on making it better. But we've got an amazing suspension system for S197, from 5 to 14. But the 510s are pretty reasonable. Now, they've got the 3-valve motor in them. They only have, like, I think 300 horsepower or something. And somebody's going to say, well, if I get one, I'm going to drop a Coyote in. Well, yeah, you could do that. But me, I'm like Mr. Simple. I think about how I can keep things simple. So, I mean, we've got the suspension, we've got the brakes, we've got everything to make that car really cool. And if somebody wanted more power, something that we did on Cliff's FR500S, which is a 2008, and we completely went through and did the latest 4.5 suspension with single adjustable JRZs, and the car is just amazing to drive. But on the power side, what we did is in 2000, the last year for the Mustang Challenge was 2010. I engineered 3 Mustang Challenge cars in 2009 and 2010, but the series stopped after that. So there was a place for them to race. The SCCA allowed them into the Pirelli World Challenge with some upgrades. One of those upgrades actually was my suspension, and the other was kind of like a top-end package from Ford Racing, which was heads, cam, intake manifold. And that worked pretty good. That would be a 2011 spec FR500S. So that's what we did with Cliff's car. We took it up to 2011 World Challenge specs, and we ended up getting like 380 rear wheel horsepower. You do the math, and that works out to be 440 at the crank. And we had 340 on torque, which works out to be somewhere right around 400 pounds of torque. So, I mean, without having to do massive changes, electrical systems, processor, all that, boom, we went up to the same horsepower basically as a 11 to 14 Boss Mustang. And it makes a grand car. I mean, a really great car. So if I was going to do one, I'd do that. Some other cars I think about doing is getting a Fox. And I love Fox Mustangs. That's probably where I started with Mustangs, with the Fox. But what I would do with a Fox is we've got a lot of guys right now, or if you can find them, they're putting the IRS, the 99 to 04 Cobra IRS into a Fox, which I think would make just an awesome package. Because we've actually updated the bracketry. When we do the geometry upgrade on the Carrier, we've updated the bracketry in the back. But we take that great big clunky mount off and throw it away. It saves weight and space, and we put a plate on there so it's hard mounted right to the frame rail. We've actually added some extra holes so that it will be a direct bolt onto most Foxes. I say most Foxes because there was a lot of variances. The earlier you get, the more variances they are, but it should be able just a straight bolt on. I think a Fox with an IRS in the back, our AGS 3.0 in the front, cane member and control arms, front geometry, and then, like I say, like a 347 Windsor. I think that'd be just an awesome car to drive. So those are my thoughts. SN95s are also good, but the problem with the regular Fox and SN95, the rear suspension is not very good. The roll center is like way high, and the geometry is just not there. That's why I would go to an IRS. But also, the other thing is if you can find a 99 to 04 Cobra, that'd be a really nice car to work with too. Although they're getting a little harder to find, and the prices are starting to ratchet up on them. Actually, the prices are starting to ratchet up on Fox. It's really hard to find a good Fox. It seems to be really popular. So that there's a couple of choices. As far as starting out, I think my first choice would be a 5 to 10 S197. My other choice would be a Fox with putting an IRS in the back, so the thing would just really handle. So there's some thoughts. Or a 99 to 04 Cobra, but like I say, they're getting a little harder to find and a little more expensive.